Obviously, this film has shades of current events that we can directly trace to its lineage, which I found fascinating. Was that one of the things that attracted you to the project?
Yeah, it was. I did not know the connection between Bob Matthews and the other domestic terrorists that followed, like a Timothy McVeigh or um and I was aware of the Turner Diaries, but didn't understand. Yeah, had never heard of that lineage as you referred to it. So yes, it was one of the many things that did draw me to this project.
So we see Joanne, an FBI agent in the 80s, dealing with these white supremacists. I don't even think the term domestic terrorist was around at that time. Can you sort of explain to us her mindset being in that type of environment as a woman and a Black woman?
Well, you got to think about the fact that it wasn't until the mid 1970s that a black woman was even assigned the title special agent at the Bureau. So this would have been a very new position of power for someone like Carney. And, inevitably, I that did frame a lot of the choices we made with her. The role was originally written as a man. And so in doing my research, I interviewed a few former special agents, women of all kinds with all kinds of backgrounds, and yeah, some of them communicated that feeling of being the other, but just how important the mission was for them and how they sacrificed mind, body, and spirit and gave their all to that job, and how personal some of these cases became.
So there's a line early in the film that Richard Butler says about these are the seats that they're sowing to get their representatives in Congress and down the line. And obviously we see some shades of that type of behavior that have happened. Do you think at that time they understood really what they were dealing with and that it was something that could evolve as such in the way that it has?
Without a doubt, I think, that's been a part of the mission of folks with this ideology, since Reconstruction era, limiting places of power, occupying spaces, not allowing people who look like certain people to occupy those spaces. I think it's been very intentional with voter suppression during Jim Crow. Now, I mean, it we have to really think about power, access to education. I mean, these are institutions that women of all kind, folks of all kind, anyone that's othered, we've had to fight to hold those places, to hold space in those places. And why?
So when you look at the story and there are things that are similar in as far as the struggle that Black people, people of color have gone through, as well as access to, as you mentioned, education, financial advancement, and so forth, is there any room for empathy in stories as such for these men that seem to get caught up and swept up and feel like they've been pushed out somehow?
I think it's the job of the storytellers to tell the truth. And for us to illuminate a side of humanity that is just being swept under the rug. Whether someone feels empathy or judgment or whatever the emotion it brings up actually tells me about the audience, not really about our stories, right? I don't want to really dictate what it does to the viewer. I think you go on this ride, and what how it affects you, how it impacts you is how it impacts you. And it's not really our job as the artists to dictate that. But I do think it is our job to tell the truth and to illuminate humanity.